Hey guys, what's up? This is Blaze, and welcome to a new producer's letter from Falmea herself that just popped up on my Twitter feed from Wizard101. They tweeted, I'm like, oh hey, a new producer's letter. Those are always really fun to read, and they kind of hint at what Wizard's going to be doing in the future for the game, and just I don't know, just kind of this one's more of like a general overview of the entire year because they're posting it in December, last month, so they're just kind of wrapping up what happened in 2013, which was actually a pretty big year for Wizard101 and KingsIsle. So I don't know, these producers letters just come kind of random, and the last one we saw was in August, and it seems like they've done 2 this year. And some years they only do 1 of them, so it just really depends. These are kind of just random, and they're usually pretty longer than other stuff that KingsIsle posts, even longer than their blog posts, which I don't know. They just kind of started doing that blog stuff, the KingsIsle blog. I don't follow that too much, but anyway, this is going to be a new producer's letter for December 2013, and I do encourage you guys to read it because it is really interesting. I'm going to kind of summarize most of the stuff, but yeah, I do encourage you guys to actually read through all of it. I'll put a link in the description so you guys can go check it out for yourself. But really, this first part just kind of goes over, KingsIsle started 5 years ago with Wizard101's release, and so it just celebrated its 5th birthday this year. And Pirate 101 is also a year old. I remember starting all the Pirate 101 hype October of last year, so Pirate 101 is a year old, and Wizard101 is 5 years old. So basically, they just kind of go over some stuff. They don't mention Pirate 101 too much. They just go over some of the stuff that they've added in the past 5 years to Wizard101. I mean, 9 new full worlds and a bunch of side stuff like Aquila and Waterworks. New pets. I mean, when Wizard101 started, they didn't have like nearly any of this stuff that they have now, like garden, crafting, pets, PvP. I mean, they didn't have any of that. Even like mounts and stuff they didn't have. They added new schools, since its release. They added the Sun School, the Moon School, Star School, and now Shadow School. So a lot of cool stuff. We've gone from level 50 all the way up to 95, and then the next update later next year is going to be 90 or 100. So there's that. So basically, they just kind of wrap up a bunch of stuff. Then they start talking about for Halloween. They had the Nosferatu stuff with that side dungeon in the haunted cave, and then of course Chrysalis Part 1. I thought they would mention like a little sneak peek of some kind. I kind of hoped they would do something like that, but not really. Towards the bottom, we kind of get a little hint. I don't know. It's not too much of a hint as I was looking for, but because usually they do poke little hints into these producer letters. But I mean, I remember reading one in August, and they did have a couple pretty obvious hints in there. But for this one, what I really liked what they talked about in this Chrysalis Part 1 little article here was that they did more cinematic stuff. Since they divided it into 2 parts, Chrysalis into 2 parts, they were able to do more cinematic stuff. Like, if you guys remember, when Divim gets slapped by the Broodmother, like, that was pretty cool. So they added that, and then they also had that part where we bomb the Honeycomb Gate to help the mice get out of the Last Wood and invade the Moon Cliffs. So that's pretty awesome. So I think they're going to be adding some more of that kind of stuff for Part 2. Hopefully it's kind of more cinematic towards the end where we're fighting, the Morganthan or Shadow Palace. I hope it's something like that, because they can really capitalize on that, I think, and it would be a really cool experience for that final dungeon. So moving on with the Chrysalis, they just talk about shadow magic and manipulating the essence of reality will change people. So yeah, we've experienced that. It doesn't really say that shadow magic is evil or malicious. It says it's just really powerful and it has a risk that comes with it. So I thought that was really interesting. They're like, it's not an evil school, it's just by its nature it's just really powerful, and then it has consequences with that power. So I'm just gonna read this last little part here. Wizards, if you've already made it through the end of Part 1, do not despair. Part 2 will be coming sooner rather than later. In fact, we're all hard at work on it right now, and it's shaping up to be the epic conclusion that this amazing story arc deserves. I agree with that. We've been facing Morganth for 4 worlds. This is going to be the 5th one. So really excited to see that wrapped up with Part 2 of Chrysalis later this year, sooner rather than later. So it's possible that we get the test realm next month. We're gonna talk about all this. Towards the end, I'm gonna talk about our plans on doing a podcast. Sorry about that. Skype's coming up. But I'm going to be doing a podcast, we're going to be doing a podcast where we talk about everything of part 1, speculate on part 2, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So we're going to be doing that pretty soon. It'd be fun if we live streamed it and then I put it up on the channel later. That would be pretty ideal. I think we might plan on doing something like that. I never thought about doing a live stream for it, but yeah. So I'm gonna talk about that towards the end. Though we're not done with the producer's letter yet because it's a pretty lengthy one. So on to the next segments. Bric-a-brac. Basically, in this part, they just kind of go over some of the stuff that they've just added recently, like the new tournament types, the new quest helper, the new gardening updates that I covered in the test realm with rank 15 garden spells, which I don't know. I've used them a little bit. I don't think they can help a little, but I don't think they're worth it as much as people think. So what else? They've also in Avalon and Azteca, they've lowered the difficulty because they think that battles just take too long, which I agree with. If you're not, up to par, like if you're not if you're not like the best wizard, you don't have like the best stats, fights are going to take a long time. And it's pretty difficult, especially if you haven't gotten like Hades gear or something like that, and you haven't farmed Tartarus, and you're not going to have that kind of gear. So I don't know, it seems like they're going for rather shorter battles, but still being like the same kind of difficulty. So it's going to be kind of difficult for them to balance that out, but I think they're going to be able to. So they've lowered the difficulty of Avalon and Azteca. So I remember them. Yeah, I remember when they did. They lowered the difficulty on Dragonspire, because Dragonspire back when it was the highest world was really difficult for some people. So I remember when they did that, but they just do that over time. They're going to do it with Chrysalis probably eventually when there's more worlds that come out after this. So okay, here's the interesting part here to the future. Chrysalis is top secret and classified. So I'm just going to read through this. We have an incredibly exciting 2014 plan for you, and we're hard at work on the initial stages of it right now. I have to keep my lips sealed as to what's to come. However, I can tell you that we're planning on some really nifty things that I can't wait to share as the year marches on. We're excited to get you a little help from your friends, tap into more ancient powers, help you unleash your creativity, and hook you into the spiral like nothing you've seen yet. Looking forward to sharing another year with you. Okay. So, basically, from reading this last paragraph here, I think the thing I was most intrigued about and just kind of unsure of what it exactly meant was when it said, we're excited to get you a little help from your friends. What does that mean exactly? Does it mean our in-game friends, other fellow wizards, or does it mean friends as in, like, our teachers for our schools? Like that, this is what we're going to talk about in the podcast. I keep saying it, but it's going to happen because there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and we're excited to get you a little help from your friends. That, I don't know, that's the biggest hint I think is in this producer's letter so far, because I don't know, it just seems like it doesn't seem like it's just your Wizard101 friends. It seems like it's something bigger than that. Like I've talked to Alex Lionheart and Blue about having our school teachers somehow help us to defeat Morgoth, because I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think we're going to need some outside help from Merle Ambrose, from our teachers. So that's kind of where I think that hint is. That would be my best guess on that. But yeah, we're probably going to talk about this in our future podcasts too. So now that we're done with the producer's letter, I'll have a link in the description. You guys can check it out yourself. But yeah, we are going to be doing a Chrysalis Part 1 podcast. And basically, it's going to be Alexander Lionheart, Blue, Dimitri, and myself, and we are going to be talking, for a pretty good amount of time about Chrysalis Part 1 and speculating on Part 2. So we're going to be talking about our experience with Part 1. Blue and I are hopefully going to be finished with the Road 95 series and finished with Chrysalis Part 1 before then, but we'll have to see. And basically, we're just going to be speculating on what we think what we think is going to be happening in Part 2, what our thoughts are for new spells, what our thoughts are for story and stuff like that. because you know, I have been paying attention to the part 1 story, and we're gonna see how everything's gonna kind of tie up all the loose ends for Morgant's arc in the end. So look forward to that. I will definitely have more information on that probably later this week, hopefully towards the end of the week, this weekend or something. So stay in the loop for that, because it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we should stream it. I think that would be the best way to do it, because then we can interact with people, maybe answer questions in the chat for that as well. So definitely this weekend, be sure you're staying tuned on my channel for that update on when we're going to decide to do that. But it should be a lot of fun. Something that we've been talking about for a long time that we want to do, because there's just so much to talk about from part 1, and that should be really interesting to do. So anyway, that is going to be the producer's letter for December 2013 from Falmea, Professor Falmea, the fire teacher. So thank you guys for listening to this, or watching it, or listening and watching. And basically, I don't know, these producer's letters are just pretty random. So I mean, the next one might not be till August, maybe this summer. I think they'll do it this summer. Another one this summer when more awesome stuff's going to be coming out. But for now, we're just waiting for part 2 to be released sometime early next year. I'm pretty sure the test room's gonna. I would guess test room comes out in January. I just think that makes sense, because then they could test it for about 2 or 3 weeks and then release it either late January or early February. I think that would make sense. If they do it later than that, I don't know. I think March would be pushing it on that, but we'll be talking about that probably in the podcast as well. So definitely stay tuned for all of that, and thank you guys for watching this. If you enjoyed this video, if you stuck with me all the way through, definitely go ahead and leave a like, and I'll see you guys next time.